Well, we've been hearing, if anybody's paying attention to anything in the news regarding teachers, that right now there's actually a court case that just got decided that the way that the teachers are tenured in the K through 12 system is actually, I believe they use the word unconstitutional in order to talk about this, and that is a really big thing to say that something is unconstitutional. It's that is violating the rights of the students in this process. And so, you know, when I was looking at this, the idea of by the way, what tenure means it took me a long time to figure out what tenure was, because I kept on hearing 10-year. And so I always thought that you had to work at a place for 10 years to get tenured, and that's not what it is. That basically it's the idea that you become a permanent employee someplace. And in the K through 12 system, what they were arguing is that when these teachers become permanent employees, that it is really hard after that to ever get rid of any of them, even though that they may be the worst teacher ever. That is really difficult to get rid of one of these teachers after they're tenured. And so this is basically where the energy came up in order to make this challenge. And so, you know, and you used to teach, you were teaching in middle school, a substitute teacher in middle school. And so what do you think about this?
Yeah, it's tricky because I understand both sides of the argument. The first side of tenureship is that teachers, there's no grading. It's not like when you do sales. If you don't hit this quota, then you can get fired because you're not growing the company. Right. You can't necessarily do that with students in education because you didn't have them last year and you only have 1 year with them. So you can't, your performance as an instructor, how can you evaluate that based off of test scores or based off of subjective grades? How can you actually do that? So what tenure does is protect the teachers from a principal or administrator saying, you're getting fired because of your students aren't passing the class. Yeah. When the principal could maneuver the poorest students, the least academic students into your class and then fire you. Right. So tenure really protects you from that. Okay. But on the other side, what ends up happening is teachers who aren't performing as well or subjectively performing as well or is deemed not as efficient or not as hardworking or not up to the latest teaching methods, well, they often get sent to this, they don't get the GATE classes or the AP classes, they get the freshman knucklehead opportunity classes, they get moved to different schools in poorer neighborhoods. Right, and so one thing that the court case, when they declare it unconstitutional, is that it's not fair for the students in lower income school districts to have those poor teachers who, like, it's true, it is very difficult to fire them because if you just sit on your butt and read the newspaper, but you give worksheets, technically you are doing your job. Technically. And so they wouldn't be able to fire that teacher without going through a long, arduous process. Yeah. In which the union, who has lots and lots of money, could fight that. So they
made an argument that it takes like almost 10 years to get rid of a professor or a teacher in that system, and so that is a long time to get
especially, I mean, barring doing something illegal or violent confrontations, it can do that. So I definitely see both sides. I think this speaks to a bigger issue of issues in public education. I don't know. What are your overall thoughts or feelings, especially because in higher education it's quite different. We have academic freedom. Yeah. And you're tenured, so.
Yeah, you know, for us as college teachers, I strongly believe in tenure in regards to protect an academic freedom, right? The idea that I am allowed to teach my class in the way that I see fit, the way my expertise and my knowledge base leads me to talk about certain events that may not be politically correct, may not be what the politics of the campus would agree or the administrators or whatever, and that it protects me to be able to talk about certain things, to introduce certain classes, like let's say ethnic studies at a college. The college that I teach at is fairly white, if you would, if not white as a population, but white in their thinking. And so introducing ethnic study was a long process. I was at the same college that I teach right now, and I was complaining that we didn't have ethnic studies classes when I was a student, and that was back in the early 90s. And guess when they got ethnic studies classes? When I became a professor and got tenured, and all of a sudden I was the one that had to write. This is 20 years later, right? And so there is something to be said about academic freedom and how tenure process protects academic freedom in a higher education. But as you were saying, it's like, But that's not the same issue in regards to the K through 12 system. Quite honestly, I actually get it. And when it comes to teachers and trying to get rid of them, I want to hope for the best here, because I do feel that there needs to be a change. I really do feel that there needs to be a change. The bad thing is that, if these teachers are going to be based on their students' performances, there's going to be a lot of cheating with the teachers in regards to teaching straight to the test.
Which there have been with No Child Left Behind, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is such a complicated task. We are talking about it and bringing this up. This is something I'll definitely be talking about in my intro courses as we go. But as of now, it's just interesting for us to watch it unfold.
Right.
And if anything to take from this is the charter schools who don't have these tenure types of thing, but are able to keep teachers for 5, 6, 7, 8+ years since charter schools have been propping up, is to what degree are the public schools going to be modeling themselves now after charter schools?
Well, we would hope that it follows the charter school space. But the thing that I know about that is that my kids are currently are homeschooled, and basically the whole homeschool mentality is F the test. Teach your child what they need to teach, or what they need to be taught in the way that they need to be taught when they're ready to be taught, and everything will be fine. The test will come later. And so their funding is not based on the test scores, while I know a lot of schools are based on the test scores. And so it's just not the same. When only a few people do it, it's okay. But when whole entire systems decide to do it, that's going to be a big complication in this tenure process. But honestly, I really do feel like there's room for change, and that this very well may create the kind of change to send us in a different direction than what we're in right now.